What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I am here today with the review. This is the haves and the have-nots. This is the second half of season 7. So this is season 7, episode number 11, you guys. So the episode was titled Power of Attorney. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I completely forgot about a lot of stuff that happened, in the first half of season 7. So we're gonna probably be playing some refresher and catch up at this point. Also, before we get into the video, today is my best friend's birthday. So I want to say happy birthday to her. Now, when this video is posted, it'll probably be midnight on the 26th, but her birthday is the 25th. And then also rest in peace to Leah, baby girl, has been gone from us for 19 years. Crazy. But let's go ahead and just jump. Without further ado, you guys, let's go ahead and jump into this episode review. All right, you guys. So the one thing that I definitely remembered from the season finale was when Wyatt slit his wrist. And you guys remember Katherine was in the cell screaming, "Guard! Guard!" And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, although we do see Wyatt in that puddle of blood, I'm just thinking to myself, like, Wyatt is not dead. Wyatt is not good at doing anything but getting high. So then the cops come in, and I'm sitting here looking at the cops for a whole second, like, so y'all do see this, he's in the puddle of his own blood, and you're not immediately rushing to open the cell or call for help, call the medic or anybody. So then they do open the cell and they start moving him. And I'm like, well, that's kind of counterproductive. Like, when you try to, like Katherine said, does he have a pulse? I don't think that they checked to see if he had a pulse. Then I noticed that they were trying to drag him out, and the one guard grabbed him by his wrist. I'm like, dude, he just slit his wrist, and here you are grabbing him by the wrist. Now, I get that you're not an EMT, that you're not a nurse, that you're not a medic or anything like that, but common sense would say, hey, we have a man here who just slit his wrist. Let me find something to stop the bleeding. Like get a napkin, whatever. But no, you're gonna grab him by his wrist and you're gonna drag him. Cool. I just did not understand that at all. So then next we got Benny and Candace. Now, this scene I was actually confused about because I didn't remember. I remember at the end of last season, the situation with Candace and Benny was about the $8 million and that Hannah had put them both out of the house. So I didn't remember. I didn't remember this scene where this came from, where Benny was talking about the fact that Derek is Candace's dad and that Derek is also the one who raped Hannah. Now, Candace, however, is saying that it's not him. Benny's saying it is him. Candace is saying, no, it's not him, Benny. Benny said, yes, it is Candace. Let me do the math. I'm like, Benny, you know how to do math? Because, I mean, with you, 2 plus 2 never equals 4. It always equals 8. Don't know how it equals 8 with him, but it always equals 8 or something else besides 4. I did say 2 plus 2, right, you guys? Yeah, I did. But, he's just adamant that, which he's actually correct. But, Candace just keep telling him, nope, it's not him, Benny. Yes, it is Candace. No, it's not, Benny. Yes, it is Candace. I can do the math. That's your daddy, and he raped Mama. No, Benny, he did not. Well, I'm going to ask Mama. No, Benny. Why would she? Why? That didn't make. So, yeah, I was confused about that. And then he was like, it's got to be him, Candace, because Mama was all hot and heavy for him at one point, but then afterwards she no longer wanted anything to do with him. I'm like, okay. So Benny is just like a dog with a bone at this point, trying to get this information if Derek is the one that raped Hannah. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this, but we'll get into it a little bit deeper. So while he was talking to Candace, Mitch called him and told him that Hannah was at the bar. And like I said, we'll discuss this whole Mitch, Hannah, and Candace situation later. It's hilarious. Let's talk about it. We'll talk about it in a few minutes. You guys, I so forgot about Landon and Oliver and Charles. I completely forgot about them. So Landon, he's still been a complete asshole to Oliver. I'm so glad that Oliver cut that fucking head, that cockatoo off his head. Now the thing that's I'm confused about when it comes to this whole. No, I'm not confused. I'm not confused. I know Oliver says that he's straight, but I'm sorry. There is sexual tension between Oliver and Landon. It is so much sexual tension. I'm like, you can literally see that. So Oliver tells Landon that he has some helpful information that he might want. Landon says, no, I don't. Get the hell out. I'm like, dude, he just told you he got some information and you telling him to get out. But knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. So then he says, well, as Oliver is getting ready to walk up there, he says, what is the information? Then he's talking about he just bought an ice cream sundae. He says, get out. He says, well, actually, this information is about Candace Young. He was like, okay, what is the information? Spit it out. He said, that's you. I'm like, see, there we go. Because he says, if you don't tell me, you're going to taste my fist. He says, that's you again. I'm like, see, this is sexual tension between Oliver and Landon. But he tells Landon that Candace has booked a flight to go from Savannah to New York. And he's like, okay, thank you for that, but get out. I'm like, damn, you still rude to him, huh? Cool. So then he makes Landon makes a phone call and he wants to have Candace placed on a do not fly list, on a no fly list. So then we see Oliver, and Oliver's on the phone, and I did not know who he was on the phone with. So you guys have to let me know in the comment section who that dude was, because I really couldn't remember his name. Wait a minute. Well, I know who he is because he's following Veronica for Jim. Because he tells, the guy tells Oliver that he's in Savannah, and then he's following Candace, and he says that she went and bought a pregnancy test, and she's also hanging around Mitch. Who the hell is she? Well, I mean, the only person that she could be, well, did she have sex with Mitch, you guys? Let me know that in the comment section, because I know that there was something going on between her and Mitch. I don't believe Candace and Mitch had sex. Was the last person that Candace was with was Charles? Y'all gotta let me know in the comment section, because I actually forgot about it. I don't remember this. Next time, Own and Tyler Perry, please, when y'all do a break between the haves and the have-nots, don't make it such a long break, because God, I literally forgot a lot of shit with this show. So Oliver does ask this guy, does Jim cry or know that he's working for his dad? He says no, well, he doesn't think so. So then Oliver also asks him, what is he doing? He tells him that, Jim has him keeping eyes on a woman. He's like, what woman? He says, Veronica Harrington. Veronica. That heifer. So Landon tells him, not Landon, but Oliver tells old dude to get to Detroit. He's like, but I'm in Savannah. He's like, well, you gotta hop on a plane. And I was sitting here thinking to myself, like, why is he asking him to come to Savannah? No, why is he asking him to come to Detroit? I'm like, see, this is what I'm talking about. It just seems like there's some male sexual energy coming from Mr. Oliver, but that's neither here nor there. But let's move on. The goddamn Malones. I don't understand the Malone. I don't understand this family. They are so racist. Like, cause they asking Mitch, Uncle Vinny is asking Mitch where the money come from. And, Mitch is not trying to tell them. And then, Sandy's talking about the truck that, Mitch has. And he says, he's talking about the black. He says, I told you what his name is. You can call him by his name. So then Sandy's girlfriend comes in. And I was like, oh, wow, she's black. Because I can see her. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a black chick. I'm like, so how does that work? You're outwardly racist, but you're banging a black chick. How does that work? And then when I looked at the girl, I'm like, oh, I know her. Her name is Brittany. She's an actress. She's a great actress, by the way. I really enjoyed her. I'm more familiar with her from her time on General Hospital as Valerie Spencer, Luke Spencer's niece, and she also plays on The Young and the Restless. I don't know her character's name on The Young and the Restless because I haven't watched Young and the Restless in God knows how many years. Been at least 10 years since I've watched Young and the Restless. So, you know, she's basically there to give, what's his cousin name? Sandy, a restraining order. Because he was like, you know, he's like, I've been calling you. She's like, yeah, I've been taking care of my mom. He says, like, you know, he basically tells her that he's been watching her because he's like, the car hasn't been moving. She's like, you're watching me? In a nutshell. So he's like, you got another dude, don't you? I'm like, well, damn. Again, you're racist, outwardly racist, but you don't want her with another dude. And she's black. Cool. And then Sandy has the audacity to tell her to be over to his place later tonight. I'm like, oh my God, this girl just gave you a restraining order. Okay, maybe the pussy's good. Who knows? So then Vinny gets a call that Mama Rose was arrested for DUI. I can't help but to laugh at some of this stuff because it's really funny. Like, and I'm gonna talk about what's fun, what I found. It might not be in this episode review that I talk about what I found the most funny in 2-hour episode premiere. No, it's gonna be in the second episode when I tell you guys what I think it was the funniest shit that I have ever saw in a Tyler Perry television show so far. That shit took me out. I'm pretty sure y'all can guess what it is, but we'll talk about it in the next review. Because that shit literally had me cracking the fuck up. I was done. Actually, it was two things in the next episode that had me cracking up. Okay, but yeah. So Hannah went down to she's trying to find the Malones. And, you know, she wants to know what, you know, the family is going to do to keep Jim from killing Benny. Hannah. Just, I mean, if somebody's willing to stop Jim, kill Jim, whatever, let them do it. The man made you call him Mr. Jim. I still haven't forgot that, by the way. Mr. Jim. Hell, for the fuck of, I would have just stabbed that motherfucker with a scalpel right then and there. Mr. fucking Jim. Now, Mitch, however, is telling Hannah, like, this is not somewhere you want to be, Miss Hannah. You might want to go, Miss Hannah. Miss Hannah's like, nope, she's not going. I'm like, Miss Hannah, you might want to get your ass up and go because that family is racist as fuck. They don't like us. Which is so weird. They don't like us. But you're literally having sex with... Yeah, you don't like us, but you're having sex with us. So remember, you guys, that I said that Benny got a call from Mitch about Hannah being down there. So Benny and Candace go to the bar to get Hannah and tell her to come home. She says no, she's not going anywhere because she wants to know what $8 million in protection looks like. I'm like, Hannah, girl, get your ass up and get the fuck out. Like, god damn. Again, what did I just say a few minutes ago? If someone wants to take out Jim Cryer, let them. I don't give a fuck what you do. If you have him swimming with the fishes, if you have him, you know, kicking up daisies, I don't give a fuck what you do to Jim. Take the motherfucker out. So Benny asked Mitch, will he close the bar? Mitch's like, no, I can't do that. So, you know, Benny goes back to talk to Hannah, trying to get her out. Candace says that she wants to call, I forgot what the dude's name was that she wants to call in. But she wants to call in someone to take care of it. And Mitch is like, no. I'm like, oh. It took me a minute to finally catch on to why Mitch didn't want whoever Candace was trying to call to come in. I'm like, oh, they must be some niggas, huh? Because that's the only reason why Mitch would not want somebody to come into the bar to get Hannah. They niggas. That is sad that this family is so fucking racist. You got racists on this show and you got homophobes on this show. And then you got a self-hating black person on this show. A true self-hating black person. And the devil incarnate, Veronica Harrington. But let's move on. Flying frizzle frack fuck. All right, you guys. Now this is something that I know damn well I didn't forget. So we see Jeffrey. Jeffrey is at the crib, and Madison comes over. Madison, however, is horny as fuck and wants to have sex. Oh God, I cannot not see that. So I don't know where they thought David was, but David was actually in the foyer or wherever he was. He comes around, and Jeffrey asks, "Is it okay if Madison stays there?" And David is like, "Oh, it's cool if he stays here." But he says, "I'm getting ready to go out." And they were like, "In your PJs?" He's like, "Yeah." They're like, "So where are you going?" He said, "Oh, Jim called me over to the hospital. It's an urgent matter." And again, in your PJs. He's like, "Yep, it's really urgent." David is uncomfortable as fuck because of the fact that he caught Jeffrey and Madison fucking in that bed. God, I can't get over it. So now that David is uncomfortable, Jeffrey doesn't want to have sex anymore. I'm like, Jeffrey, I'm actually with Madison. Your daddy got to get over it at some point. You're gay. So he's going to have to get used to the fact that you have sex with men. But Jeffrey, is, coerced by Madison, because Madison takes his clothes off. He says, "Get naked." Jeffrey was like, "Oh, you're going to do that for me?" He's like, "Yep." He says, "I got it." So then Jeffrey comes up with the bright idea to go fuck at Veronica's place. I'm like, as much as I dislike Veronica and I think that the bitch is just evil and hateful and, just filled with the devil spirit, that would be the last place that I would take a guy to have sex if I was Jeffrey. I mean, she's going to call you, number one, she's going to berate you and call you a girl. She's going to call both of y'all girls. Which that irritates me. The fact that she just does that, like, God, woman, are you that homophobic? Yes, she is. So no, that is not a good idea to go fuck at Veronica's place. So then there were some new people that we saw in this episode. I'm like, who the fuck are these people? But they're Catherine's accountants. So one's name is John and the other one's name is Don. I don't really understand what they're up to be quite honest with you. I know it feels like they're trying to embezzle some money from Katherine. I guess. I think they're starting a business and they're taking money from Katherine to fund their business. I didn't really understand. I'll be honest, I didn't understand that whole scene. But then the John guy, he's talking about the fact that Katherine was just arrested for the murder of Jennifer Salison. And then they also got a call from Marty saying that he wants to meet with them. Now again, you guys, that scene was just kind of confusing to me. So I couldn't go in deep detail about it because I didn't understand it, to be quite honest with you, because I didn't know what they were 100% doing. Now, if you guys know in the comment section, do let me know what they were doing because I was thrown for a loop. So we see Justin, and Justin is just beat the fuck down. And then, we finally understand. I finally understand a little bit more about. I almost felt bad for Justin until I saw something that just like really Justin. So his mom sent his brother over there to check on him, and like I said, Justin's face is just beat the fuck up. And the brother asked him like, "What's going on? Like, what's going on with you and your wife?" And he didn't tell him. And then he said, "Are you doing that thing again?" He's like, because he saw that there was like a little bit of a shrine to Jeffrey. I'm like, oh my God, you are so obsessed with this boy. It must be some really good sex. So then we find out that the brother is homophobic. He says, if I find out you're doing that shit again, I'm gonna have me and the other brothers come and beat you bloodier than the last time. I'm like, damn. Like, so people have a huge issue with someone being gay? God, that's terrible. That is terrible as the fuck. Let's move on. All right, you guys, let's talk about the devil incarnate, Veronica. Now, I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, where's her crash test dummy at that she hired to wear her clothes? Which those clothes looked like they were too big for that girl. That girl is too young to be you. But you know what? Veronica set her up to get killed, and she don't know it. So then we see one of her little hood niggas in the pool, and she goes outside to tell him to get out the pool. He says no. She's like, oh, I know how to get you out the pool. She says, what would happen if I put some, took a curling iron out of the socket and threw it in him? I'm like, ooh, you trying to electrocute the motherfucker, huh? He says, you ain't gonna do that. She walks with it. I'm like, homie, you might want to get your ass about that pool because she is crazy enough to do it. So if I was you, skedaddle, get up. So then, he gets out the pool and he tells her, get on your knees. I'm like, ooh, he told her to get on her knees. You gonna take that, Veronica? But nope, she didn't take it. She told him to get on his knees afterwards. I'm like, oh, okay. And then she told him to go get his little friend. I'm like, damn, you finna let them run a train on you? God damn. I mean, I know you a hoe, but damn, you that big of a hoe? And then let's close this episode out with this asshole Jim fucking Cryer. So a strange man walks into his room with the suit on. And Jim tells him to take the trash out. I was like, oh my God. First, the Malones are racist. Then Jim is racist because the dude is Latino. So you assume just because he's a Latino that he's just a maid or a housekeeper and he's going to take the trash out because the trash stinks. Yeah, I would have shot. And, homie pulls a gun out on, well, actually, he didn't pull a gun out on him at that time. But we find out that he's Celine's son. I'm like, I didn't understand. I mean, I know Selena told these kids about the oldest. Wait, how many kids does Selena have with Jim? I know she got the youngest boy, and then the one that was working on that campaign. Is that him? It can't be. Is it? Because see, if he was the one that was working on that campaign, I feel like Jim would have recognized him. Because Jim didn't recognize this dude. But then again, Jim is an asshole, so I'm pretty sure Jim thinks like most people, like some, I'm not going to say all white people, but how some white people think that all black people look alike, unfortunately. So I guess he's thinking that just because, this is another Latino, that it's got to be that. Unless Lynn got 3 fucking kids with Jim, this is the one that was working on that campaign. But I don't get how Jim doesn't recognize him. Okay. But yeah, Jim has been his asshole self until homeboy pulls out a gun on him. And that's when Jim got some fucking act right. I'm like, oh, so it takes for somebody to pull a gun out on you bitch ass for you to get some act right. I just wish somebody would just shoot Jim in the fucking head. Head, Jim. Head. Just shoot him in the head. Shoot him in the motherfucking head. All right, you guys. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Be sure to stick around for episode number 2. So you guys, be sure to like this video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button so you guys are aware of when I drop anything else. Share this video, and until the next one, you guys, do me a solid favor out there. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, stay hydrated, and I will see you guys later. Bye.